We now have a maiden speech welcoming Louie French.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to make my maiden speech in this important debate. It is a true privilege to stand among these green benches as the Member of Parliament for Old Bexley and Sidcup, a place I've called home all my life. I'd also like to thank colleagues for their warm reception today and for the party's support throughout the by-election. Who would have thought that someone with the surname French would have been so warmly welcomed by so many Brexiteers? Perhaps if the Home Secretary would have forecast me voting against the government in my first month, she might even have deployed the Navy even earlier. All jokes aside, I'm more than happy to give my full support to the government on today's bill and its wider efforts to improve animal welfare across the UK. As outlined already, this bill builds on the Animal Welfare Act in terms of recognising sentience in law and requires the government to set up an Animal Sentience Committee to examine whether the welfare of animals as sentient beings has been given due regard in policy decisions. The bill has quite rightly received support from a range of animal welfare organisations and is welcomed by the majority of residents in Old Bexley and Sidcup, who, like me, are animal lovers. We recognise that animals do feel joy and pain, and as such should be considered in future policy decisions, including the strengthening of sentencing for those that carry out the callous acts of cruelty and pet theft. Pet theft remains a real problem for local families across Bexley and the country overall, and I hope that the tougher sentences for such crimes act as a deterrent for future offenders. And on the subject of offenders, Mr. Speaker, I would like to confirm that I am not the love child of Norman Stanley Fletcher from Porridge, as speculated. In representing the constituency of Old Bexley and Sidcup, I follow my good friend, the late James Brokenshire. And I know that members on both sides of this House mourn the loss of James, who was a friendly, thoughtful and well-liked gentleman. And it's a great privilege to have Cathy in the gallery today. James was first elected to the House in 2005 as the MP for Hornchurch and was elected in 2010 as the MP for Old Bexley and Sidcup. James was an outstanding constituency MP who fought for the people of Old Bexley and Sidcup every day, never forgetting that it was them who placed him in this House. James was also a diligent and effective minister, serving the country in some of the most sensitive and demanding positions under 3 successive Prime Ministers. James was a true and loyal friend to me over many years, and I will always value the support he provided and the memories we shared, as I know many across this House do. Although I own significantly less ovens than James and Cathy did, and do not share his love for West Ham United, which largely reflected his Essex roots, I humbly recognise he is a tough act to follow, and I hope to be able to continue his legacy in some way. Old Bexley and Sidcup is a fantastic seat to represent, and I am honoured to have been elected as the first homegrown MP to serve the communities across Old Bexley, Blackfen and Lammerby, Blendon and Penhill, East Wickham, Longlands, North Cray, Sidcup and Falcon and Welling. The constituency is located in South East London, but with its picturesque churches, charming pubs and beautiful green spaces, it is clear that Old Bexley and Sidcup is also firmly within Kent, with a strong sense of tradition and patriotism throughout the constituency. Many members of this side of the House visited my lovely home area during my election campaign, which I am grateful for, and I encourage all to visit what I believe is the best constituency to represent, where you will find many fantastic businesses and some of the most scenic parks and open spaces, including Footscray Meadows with the 5 Arches Bridge over the River Cray. Old Bexley and Sidcup also played an important role in the Great War throughout the pioneering work of Sir Harold Gillies at Queen Mary's Hospital, Sidcup, which opened in 1917. It was where almost every soldier who had suffered a facial injury was sent for groundbreaking facial reconstructive surgery led by surgeon Sir Harold, the man widely recognised as the father of modern plastic surgery. The medical staff at Queen Mary's Hospital also went further, considering perhaps for the first time the long-term psychological effects of those disfigured by warfare in methods of treatment and care that underpin the work undertaken by medical professionals in support of today's armed forces. The constituency also boasts 2 world-class drama schools in Rose Bruford College and Bird College, with notable alumni including Gary Oldman, who most famously portrayed Winston Churchill in The Darkest Hour. Notable residents of Old Bexley and Sidcup aren't limited to Rose Broford alumni, but have also included Roald Dahl, Quentin Blake, Roger Moore and Kate Bush, which highlights how culture and the arts light the heart of Old Bexley and Sidcup. As a borough of aspiration, which is reflected in my own journey to this place, we are rightly proud of our fantastic local schools and colleges. Like many families in the constituency, my mother moved us to Bexley when I was born to benefit from the excellent local schools. In my case, the old Westwood Infants and Juniors, now called Bishop Ridley Primary School, Westwood College, the old Westwood College, which is now called Harris Academy Falconwood, and not forgetting Blackfen Sixth Form, where I believe Mr Gullis taught at one point. I apologise for that, Mr Speaker, on behalf of I'm determined to use my time in this place to do everything I can for our community and ensure it continues to be a great place to live. This includes campaigning to secure extra facilities at Queen Mary's Hospital, to increase the availability of GP appointments and police on our streets, working to ensure our schools stay excellent, protecting our precious local green spaces and ensuring South Eastern commuters finally see a much-needed improvement to our rail services. Lastly, Mr Speaker, I would like to finish by reciting the words James made in his maiden speech when he said, "Hope is one of the most valuable things we can offer. In a small way, I will try to provide that sense of hope to my constituents by standing up on the issues that matter to them, by listening to those who think that no one is prepared to be interested in their concerns, and by giving a voice in the House to those who have none." James remained true to his word, and I will continue this when serving my local area. In electing me as the Member of Parliament, the constituents of Old Bexley and Sidcup have given me the greatest honour of my life, and I pledge to serve them with the utmost integrity, dedication and care. Thank you.
Can I just say a fitting tribute for the new member for Bexley and Old Sidcup, and can I just say we all think of the former member who was a friend to us all.